namaste. Renee, I can't believe we've made it. Finally, I'm here. I mean, we've been talking about me being here at this PATA India event for a couple of years, I think. And here I am. Here you are, the crème de la crème of the Indian travel industry. So I'm very happy to be here. And the question is, why should you be happy that I am here? What, you know, what makes it worth listening to this crazy Frenchman with the crazy gray hair? I can tell you one thing, it's not because I am visionary, it's not because I'm wise. My wife could tell you that this gray hair is no sign of wisdom. The reason why you should be listening is because I've got great data to share with you. I know you've seen a lot of data so far, so bear with me. There will be a bit more to come. But what I really want to achieve with this presentation is leave you with a couple of very practical takeaways that you can use after this presentation to make better decisions in the coming weeks and months. So we're going to focus on business opportunities for India and how you can use data to woo the travelers of the future. A few words about the company I represent. So I'm here representing Forward Keys / Amadeus. We're part of the Amadeus family. You've probably all heard about Amadeus, so I'm going to skip most of the content of this slide. We're the world leader when it comes to travel technology. I'll just mention one figure which is not on this screen, and that is that we are behind more than 50% of all travel transactions taking place worldwide. So just picture this, 50% of all travel transactions worldwide. This is a lot of data. And we use the data generated by all those bookings and all the things that we support to understand what is taking place in the travel sector in real time. So what I will be using for this presentation, I'll mainly focus on air travel. And we'll try and understand what's happening on the supply side of the business with an analysis of the development of international and domestic air capacity, the evolutions in terms of air connectivity, and we'll also focus on what's happening on the demand side of the business, looking at travel intent, that is what people search for prior to booking their trip, looking at actual bookings, looking at stays, the stays themselves. Where are people staying? How long do they stay? How long in advance do they book their trip? What kind of hotels, all the kind of indicators you're used to when looking at the hospitality sector. And of course, we'll also look into the future. Why can we look into the future? Simple. When you make a booking today, it's for a trip that will take place in the future, whether that future is tomorrow, 6 months from now, or a year from now. So by aggregating all the information we have on the supply and demand side of the business, we can have a pretty good picture of what will happen in the near future. So one last word before we dig into the data. Amadeus is involved at many different stages of the traveler's journey, from the very beginning when people start searching for a possible trip to the actual stay. And at every single moment, when we have those contact points, we have the possibility to influence travelers' decisions. So that's the beauty of it. It's not just that we have the data to understand what is happening, we can also help you guys influence what people are doing and how they're booking, what they are booking. So what does all these data say? And I want to start with the big picture, focusing first on the evolution of air connectivity. This is the big picture. When you look at the evolution of seat capacity worldwide, you can see moderate growth. And when I'm saying moderate growth, I can tell you, when looking at it from a European perspective, where GDP is only growing by a few percentage points each year, the 5% growth is something quite significant. And that's what we've seen over the past 6 months. Looking ahead, next 6 months, we're looking at a 7% increase in international air connectivity, in international air capacity. That means that we are all in a healthy business, globally speaking. When looking into the evolutions by region, you can see that there aren't that many big differences between each world region. Everyone's growing pretty much at the same pace. Asia Pacific, 7% over the past 6 months increase, and plus 6% coming up. And that's very well spread through the region. However, when looking into the evolutions by country, that's where we start seeing some differences, with some countries really ramping up their capacity. That's the case for Thailand, growing by 32% for the January to November period. Vietnam also going strong. Malaysia going strong. All in all, so plus 7% for this period. India is at plus 5, plus 6%. So very much in line with the overall growth, with the regional growth, but a bit behind compared with some of its closest competitors. In terms of domestic travel, let's keep in mind that when looking into this topic, air connectivity, domestic travel represents the lion's share of the business. It's more than 80% of all available seats. It's still a very healthy sector, growing by 5% here, with some outliers. So let's take a second to reflect on this. Hyderabad growing by 12% in terms of connectivity, domestic connectivity. I think this is very much in line, very coherent with the growing economic importance of this city. We'll know about Google's investment in the region. There are many other companies investing here, and this has an impact on demand to the destination and the overall connectivity. The city that really caught my attention as well was Ahmedabad. So I'm not an expert in India. I say this from the get-go. So when I see something popping up like this, Ahmedabad, I'm thinking, why? Why do we have this city growing up that fast? And I think there's a clear link here between these performances and the massive investments that have been made in sports infrastructures. We'll talk more about the importance of sports and sports events soon. I think what we can see here is the direct impact that some massive investment in infrastructures can have on global demand and domestic demand as well. So let's talk a little bit about domestic India and about sport. So I was about to say this year, but no. Last year, 2025, was a big year for Indian cricket. I understand that this year is going to be big as well with the International Cricket Championship, the World Cup for the males team, but last year was for the females team. And actually, we could already see a very strong impact on this event on demand, global and domestic demand in particular. When looking at the states that hosted some of the competitions of the tournament, we could see a strong increase, plus 20% in terms of demand for those destinations. Why is this interesting? Because it means that as a destination, this is something that you can do, try to host events in the hope of boosting demand for specific profiles. And that's what I want to emphasize here with this slide. When you decide to host an event, you need to do it with a purpose. And the purpose could be to enhance the attractivity of the destination for a specific target group, for a specific type of visitors. And here, with the Cricket Female World Championship, we could see a strong boost in short stays, for example, that you can see here. This is really what increased. And also, interestingly, some differences in terms of age categories. So clearly, the 46 to 65 years old, that's the category that was the most interested in cricket. Again, I know little about India, but there's one thing I know even little more about, it's cricket. I just don't understand this sport. But I do understand that people in this age category, they probably have the money and the time to attend games that last for a full day. And the other age category that I found interesting was the 18 to 25 years old here, which is very interested in this sport. Apparently, maybe they don't have the money, but at least they do have the time to attend the game. So why is this interesting? Because again, that's something that destinations can influence. All kinds of events are taking place worldwide. We're seeing this as a really big trend. What do you want to host as a destination? Why is this good for your business? How can you piggyback on the events that are taking place? I think that can make a difference on your bottom line. I will require some technical help, guys, because I cannot move to the next slide. Yes, now it works. Excellent. So let's focus on outbound travel. We've talked a lot about outbound travel, so I will go fast here. The big picture. So here we're looking at the actual bookings and the evolutions for the period January to November compared with the previous year. So big picture is that regional destinations are the most in demand. Thailand being strong and growing fast, with Bangkok, Phuket being prominent here. We've got Kuala Lumpur, Colombo going strong here as well. So very strong regional appeal. What we're seeing as well is the appeal of Gulf countries destinations. Again, Professor Hyun Song has mentioned this already, so I'm going to go fast on this. Just stressing the incredible results of Dubai here, very strong volumes and going strong in terms of evolution. A lot of business travel here taking place as well on this front, and a few long-haul destinations, namely London, growing as well, and New York not going that strong. All in all, the Indian outbound market is growing by 7%. Again, here only focusing on air travel, which is a very healthy growth. I believe it's not enough just to look at the evolution of the big picture. You should also try and segment the market to understand with more finesse, I would say, what is happening and how your destination may be different from others, and why certain profiles are more attracted by certain destinations. So here, quite clearly, we have a big difference between the profile of people traveling to the US, a lot of solo travelers, a lot of people traveling for business as well. When looking at a destination like Thailand, here you've got a much stronger share of people traveling as part of a group or as a family. Different travelers use different channels to get their information, and we also consume different types of products and services. So be sure you market the right product to the right profile using the right communication channels. All right, another way to look at it is to look at the socio-demographics. Here again, you can see some significant differences by age. And sorry, that went a little bit too fast. And you'll see, for example, that yes, Thailand is a popular destination for leisure, but it's also attracting a very significant share of people who are 46 years old plus. Again, very different picture than what you'd see when looking at London, for example, which is very attractive for younger travelers. So again, why is this important? Because this has a direct impact on how you can use your marketing budget in the most efficient way. People behave differently when booking, but also when traveling. So a very simple way to visualize this is to look at when people are traveling. 46 years old and older will be much more likely to travel during the low season, off season, while the younger generations, 25 and younger, will have very clear peaks that corresponds to school holidays. No rocket science here, but it's good to visualize this in the data because, again, this has very practical consequences on the way you do business. So, enough about outbound travel. Let's focus on inbound travel. How can you make business with international travelers, and how is the destination performing? Actually, when looking at the evolution of actual demand and comparing it to the evolution of capacity, the supply side of the business, you see a different trend. Increase in terms of capacity, the foundations are right, but in terms of demand, a slight decrease, which is totally due to a number of geopolitical events, like we've heard in the presentation before. Geopolitical events taking place in the region itself, potentially involving India directly, and geopolitical events taking place outside of the region. I'm thinking of what's happening in the Gulf, for example. When Iran bombs Qatar, it has a direct impact on travel to India. Why? Because the Middle East is a key hub for long-haul travelers reaching the destination. So when there are travel warnings issued for travel to the Gulf, it has an impact on travel to India. So that's why it's been such a challenging year for Indian tourism. And as we can see, Delhi has been the most heavily impacted, and that's also the most important destination in terms of volume and the strong impact on the overall figures. Some destinations have managed to grow quite significantly, and here I think it's important to mention the fact that second-tier destinations like Pernem and Kannur have managed to book very decent growth during this challenging year. And actually, that's a trend we can see in many destinations worldwide. There's growing interest for mid-tier destinations that are a bit more off the beaten track, a bit new, and that will raise interest from the new age travelers. So who's coming to the destination? This looks very much like outbound India, but here we're looking at inbound India. Why does it look very much the same? Because it's a lot of source markets coming from the region itself. And here again, we're seeing some trends linked to the geopolitical events I was mentioning. When you look at the decreases, it's mainly coming from countries from the Middle East, with Dubai and Abu Dhabi decreasing quite significantly, and New York decreasing as well. We know that the American market is very sensitive to travel warnings, and this is what we can see here. So connectivity, we've talked a lot about this in the previous presentation as well. It's key. How easy or how difficult it is for people to reach your destination has a very strong impact on travel demand. And I'm not just talking about visa regulations and the processes to be allowed to get there. I'm just talking about getting on a plane. How long does it take you to reach your destination? How often do you have to connect, to transfer? The more often you connect, the more time it takes, usually the more expensive it is, and the less likely you are to take that trip. So in general, connectivity from the region is pretty good. But if you're a traveler coming from Europe, which is my case, or you come from Oceania, which is even worse, here the possibility to get here on a direct flight are very limited. So what does this mean? Let's zoom in on Oceania, for example, if I can move to the next slide. Help, please. I don't know what to point at. Yes, no, I went too fast. Okay, getting back here. Look, if you're coming from Oceania, in 86% of cases, you're going to have to transfer somewhere. And here, I think it's quite interesting to see that Kuala Lumpur and Bangkok are really gaining ground as key hubs. Why is this interesting? Because it means that maybe there are some partnerships to be done with those destinations. Maybe for some visitors, like Australians, for example, you could market a one trip, two destination approach. Why not? That's the type of stuff that those visitors could be interested in. Food for thought. Opportunities. Renette, you've mentioned in your introduction that there is no off season, no low season for the destination. I wish that was true. I believe that there's no reason for a strong seasonality in the destination, and that's what we're going to talk about. But when looking at the overall pattern so far, yes, there is a seasonality trend. This is what we can see here. Actually, when comparing the seasonality in India versus Thailand and Vietnam, we can see that the seasonality is quite similar. Actually, seasonality is not as marked in a destination like India as it would be for a destination like Thailand, which you can see here in blue. So that's good, but it could be better. There is no reason why people would not travel to India at any time of the year. And this is what our algorithms say as well. So we did a small exercise just for fun. We said, right, let's use those algorithms to see where India could find additional business during its low season. There's always someone eager to travel at any time of the year. The question is, how do you target those guys? Where do you find them? So we said to our algorithm, right, let's take India as main focus. This destination could be compared on some ways to a destination like Thailand or Vietnam. Let's take this as a benchmark, but let's use the data for the whole world. Then let's focus on the lowest of the lowest season. That's from beginning of September to mid-October. And let's target a market that would be long haul. Let's take the whole world, but please, algorithm, come up with a recommendation regarding the market I should focus on. Now, we don't have the time for this game, but I would like you to think in your inner self of the market you think represents the largest opportunity. I give you 3 seconds for that, and then I give you the answer. Ready? Surprise, surprise. It's the US. I guess many of you probably got this right. And if you did not, don't worry. This is why big data is so critical. It helps you identify opportunities that you may not have top of mind. So we believe that during this very specific low season we've talked about, there's at least 72, close to 73,000 additional overnights you could book for the destination. And it gets better than this because we focused only on the gray area. I'm afraid the screen is a little bit too small for this. The additional nights the additional stays are what you can see here. It's the hatched area. But the great news about this is that in fact you've got more gray hatched areas after this period. Actually, you could make even more additional business here, and here, and here, and here. And you could repeat the exercise, changing the parameters a bit, and identify easily markets you could focus on where you think, where there's a fair chance that if you do a tactical marketing campaigns today, you will start seeing the impact of these campaigns tomorrow already. Gets even better. Wait for it. So, bear with me because I know this is the ugliest chart in the whole presentation. I want to explain a bit how it works. So, it works like this. Top left part of this chart, those are the underused routes. Here we're looking at travel intent and connectivity. So, in this part, you've got good connectivity, but travel demand is a little bit weak, right? It means that this is a great short-term opportunity. You do something today, you'll see the impact tomorrow. People can just jump on a plane and get to your destination. What's missing is the intent to get on that plane. Bottom right part, underserved route. There's connectivity, there's travel intent, actually strong travel intent, but there are not enough planes, right? So maybe the frequency is not high enough, maybe the size of the plane is not big enough. Great midterm opportunity. That's a great reason to go talk to the airline and say, hey, why don't you increase the frequency? Why don't you use bigger planes, etc. So how does that look? Yes. So big picture, underused route, those markets you could focus on today. London, Toronto, New York. Large markets, great connectivity, big business opportunities now. Midterm, Gulf countries, Dubai, Abu Dhabi, Doha, great opportunities here, and regional destinations, Singapore, Bangkok in particular. You'll notice that there are a lot of destinations here, so I've added them to the presentation. That's where you'll see some European destinations, for example, and more North American destinations, but we don't have the time to go into this into more details. You'll get the presentation after this session so that you can analyze this. I wanted to talk about one more scenario, and that's where there is zero direct connectivity, but strong travel intent. Great opportunity here as well. And there's a very clear pattern. We're seeing a lot of North American source markets appearing here: Dallas, Seattle, Calgary, Atlanta, Los Angeles, Boston, Houston, and many others. And we're seeing as well plenty of European capital cities here, zero direct connectivity and strong travel intent. Great potential business for India. Tourist profiles. We all have very limited marketing budget. So it's important that when you use that marketing budget, you get the biggest bang for your buck. So where to invest? Very clearly, there is still good business to be made with the high end of the segment. The premium travelers, what do we mean by premium? In our own terms, it's people traveling at the front of the plane, right? Business first and so forth. Those guys are still going strong. And as you can see here, double-digit growth for premium travelers coming from Paris, Dubai, or Frankfurt. London and New York are growing as well. So remember, New York was decreasing in total, but premium is increasing. So if your business is on the premium side of the sector, luxury, you're good. Another way to segment is to look at the traveling party. How many people are there? Who are those guys? And here, we've talked about this earlier as well. India is very strong on the solo traveler segment. MICE, talked about it. A lot of business travel taking place. It's more than 50% of the total. That's not bad. And this is good business. Business travelers are great. But somehow, it feels a bit off balance. And maybe this is what you want to have in terms of guest mix, but maybe you want to have a more balanced guest mix. Why? Because if a certain segment is in trouble at some stage in time, you can still rebalance and focus on other segments. If you're too dependent on one specific segment, that's when you put yourself in a difficult situation. So India is strong on solo travelers, but look at the others. Indonesia, very strong on couples. Thailand as well. And Vietnam is very strong on groups and family-sized groups. So different ways of rebalancing your guest mix. I think the important message here is think about it. Think about what's best for your destination, and then monitor if you're reaching the goals you have set for yourself in terms of rebalancing of the guest mix. Not everyone is booking at the same time. That's also a key element to take into account. People booking daily, for example, they are more likely to book last minute. Average lead time is 41 days. And yes, okay. If we zoom in even further, we'll see that even if you pick up one destination like Delhi, you'll see very different booking patterns by nationality. For example, and for me, I find this counterintuitive. I was surprised when looking at the figures. People booking from Canada, see here Toronto or Vancouver, they're more likely to book last minute than the others. But if you take London, people booking from London, those guys are more likely to book with long lead times, with much anticipation. And it's not just that they book with long lead time, they book at very specific period in time. And maybe this is one of the most interesting charts of all. Here we're combining the evolution of searches with the evolution of the actual bookings. What do you see here? That this period, the second half of the year, leading up to the end of the year celebrations in the UK, is critical. Prior to the end of the year holiday, this is when people search for options, right? They know that they will gather with the whole family for Christmas family dinner. That's an institution. They know that at some stage they are going to talk about travel. Where are we going next? Let's do a family trip, usually during the summer, but that can be at another time period. So people gather information prior to this family dinner. They gather information, that's what you can see here, but they're not booking yet. They're booking after they've reconnected with the family during the Christmas dinner or Christmas lunch, and then they book. So whatever your business is, if you're dealing with, in this example, the UK, this is when you should be top of mind, because this is when people are going to collect information. And this is when you should have attractive offers, because this is when they're going to switch from thinking about the destination to actually booking the destination. And that's going to make a big difference on your bottom line. Few figures on the evolution of hospitality indicators. We've talked about it earlier. Hotels in India are doing good. I mean, when you look at the average occupancy, it's higher than what you would see in competing destinations. And when you look at the evolution of prices, it's also going up quite nicely, plus 28% forecasted versus the previous year. It's not a forecast like we put our finger in the air. It's the actual prices at which those rooms are actually sold. So those indicators look pretty strong. And looking into the future, we're seeing really good business ahead for the destination. I think part of this is also linked, it's double-digit growth, right? That you should look into. It's partially linked to enhanced capacity, as we've mentioned, and its connectivity, and also the fact that we're starting from a lower base because of the geopolitical events I mentioned earlier, which ensure very strong growth rates here. So that looks good, and that looks good all the way. I mean, it's not just a few destinations within India that are going to reap the benefits from increased travel demand. It's the whole country. All right, and here this is the evolution of international travel to some of the key destinations in India. I'm running out of time, so I'm going fast. I see Renep looking at me like this. I don't know if it means that I have 1 minute left. I hope not. I have 0 minutes left, but I'll take the time nonetheless. Just to mention that the evolution of fares is also quite interesting. Why? Because for some key markets, it's actually getting cheaper to travel to India. Why? Because of enhanced connectivity. So that's good. Fares are going down. It's not the case for the UK, where fares are going up, plus 7%, but those fares still remain significantly lower than the fares from other markets. So I would say that there is no worry to have on this front. The destination is getting increasingly accessible, and the prices are okay. So we move to the takeaways now. And I think the first takeaway is that air access is absolutely key. How you get to the destination, it's essential. I know the destination is working on it. All the key airlines, Air India, Indigo, Air India Express, they're all increasing their capacity by double-digit growth. So this is going strong. This is something that needs to continue if you want to keep growing and if you want to reach those objectives, those ambitious objectives that have been set, as we have heard earlier. And remember that you are not the only one in the world. The region as a whole, as we've heard from Noor, I don't know where Noor is, but Noor, yes, this is a region which is very dynamic, which is betting on tourism. So you are competing with destinations that are smart, that are using data to make smart decisions and use their budget in the best possible way, and which are also doing a lot in terms of travel facilitation, especially on the visa front. Maybe there's something to learn from these competitors here as well. There are plenty of new opportunities that remain to be unlocked. Just keep that chart in mind with air connectivity, short-term opportunities, mid-term opportunities. There's plenty to work on. So I'm really not worried about the future of travel to India and from India. It's, I think, mainly a matter of how quickly you'll be able to tap into those opportunities and see the results for the destination. In order to achieve these objectives, I think it's very important that you have a segmented approach. And that's what I tried to show in the presentation. The more segmented you are, the more granular you are in your approach, the more efficient you are with your limited resources. So action should drive performance, and action should be driven by data. So to finalize this presentation, I would like to offer you the possibility to tap into our data. So that's our special offer. I'm in India. I was told you should come with a good deal for Indian travel professionals. So here it is. You've got the possibility to scan this QR code and get a free report for your destination or your business. So I give you a few seconds to do this. I would also like to invite my colleague Tanmay. I know he's somewhere in the room. Here, over there, he's based in Delhi, so much closer to you guys than I am. Don't hesitate to have a chat with Tanmay and myself during the rest of the day. And with that, I would like to thank you very much for your attention. Thank you.